This week on the O The Anthem podcast. In sports ball, the Astros cheating scandal fallout. Cora fired, Beltran fired, a whole bunch of people the Astros fired. We also have a Super Bowl preview going, or a Super Bowl matchup finally set. For your consideration, the Academy Award nominations. And are we about to see the sale of MGM? In national news, impeachment. The letters have been sent to the Senate, so now the trial begins, but not before Lev Parnas throws out bombs on Maddow. And finally, in the Baltimore Corner, we have the first mayor's poll. Who's at the top? Who's at the bottom? We're going to discuss the whole thing coming up right now on this action-packed show. You don't want to miss a beat. We have so much to get to. We don't have time to wait. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 302 of the O The Anthem podcast. Coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA Studios, high by the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, go to anchor.fm/O The Anthem. Find the podcatcher you like, whether it's Apple, whether it's Google, whether it's Stitcher, whether it's whatever. Click on it, and then it'll take you to that page right away where you can hit subscribe and you can listen to all the podcast episodes you wish. It's so easy. I don't know. Everything should have an anchor.fm/O The Anthem. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. And, of course, you can find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/O The Anthem. You can find producer Carly, who's watching us right now, at carly.crz on Instagram. Find all the O The Anthem videos at youtube.com/O The Anthem. And, of course, everything O The Anthem is available at otheanthem.com, the brand new otheanthem.com.
Indeed. And
Yes.
For anyone who might have gone to otheanthem.com right on Tuesday to see the actual new post,
Yep.
Corey was on set. So it got delayed a little bit.
Things
But it's
are
up
gonna be a
there
bit
right
delayed.
now. It's up there right now,
Yeah.
so enjoy it.
Yeah, so it's been a busy week.
Yes.
Corey has worked about, 70 hours this week? Maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, a lot of hours this week. But new episode was up anyway. What do you guys want? And by the way, I just realized that in the my little intro moment there,
Yeah.
my brand new watch buzzed. And I think what's happening is that much like having a cell phone for the first time, whenever it goes off, my brain just shuts down. And I'm just like, what's that? And then it stops. I'm like, oh, the watch, right? Okay, keep going. Keep talking. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, my hair looks really dark today on the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like
I think it's we're experimenting with some new devices here
Yeah.
to try and liven up the show a little bit. I think it looks nice.
I look oily as hell, though. All right. Yeah.
Should have dabbed yourself a napkin before
It's
we got started.
been a long day.
Yeah.
We've been out. It's been a long weekend, really.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
back
we
to
got-
work tomorrow.
We got more fun tonight, so we gotta do this in a timely amount of timely manner.
Yeah. We're going to check in on the fun tonight next week. So make sure you join us next week for that. But in this week, the first thing, of course, that we have to talk about is sports ball.
That didn't play through though, so
It didn't?
No, so we'll have to fix that for next time.
Oh, wow.
People missed out on the music.
Oh, that sucks. Okay,
And now people are missing
they're
out
not
on the
seeing us.
two
There we
shots.
are. Okay. Wow.
Gremlins.
So I saw that it was maxed out, and I tried to lower it. Didn't any of it come through?
No, it's
okay.
all right. I think it's because we didn't set it for the monitor. Yeah,
Yeah, new setup.
it's one of the ones we missed.
Yeah.
Anywho, so in an almost unbelievable turn of events, Major League Baseball is getting more attention than the NFL in the week that we decide who goes to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, very
So-
strange. Very strange.
But that's because, much like any time Major League Baseball breaks through to the front pages, it's because of some sort of cheating scandal or some sort of steroids or juiced ball or whatever the case may be. This time, it's the Houston Astros. Their cheating, which involved banging on trash cans after watching videos on the monitor of the signs of the catcher in real time, has come down. The commissioner has released a report about it, and basically Jeff Lunau and AJ Hinch, the general manager and manager, were suspended for an entire year and then fired before they had a chance to start serving that suspension with the Astros. The Astros were fined $5 million, which is the maximum allowable fine.
Under the CBA, yeah.
And they lost their first and second round draft picks, but no players are going to be suspended. No World Series rings taken away or money fined to the players or anything like that. And there's going to be another report that comes out on the Red Sox because they had their own cheating scandal going on in 2018. But the Red Sox got ahead of this one and fired Alex Cora. And then before Carlos Beltran even got a chance to manage the New York Mets, he left his post as well because Beltran as a player and Cora as a bench coach for the Astros were the ones who kind of came up with this whole cheating scheme.
Yes.
So that's sort of the story in a nutshell. I was trying to give it to everyone as quick as possible because all this week people were like, what the hell's going on with the Astros and the cheating?
And I think we
did the Dodgers win the World Series now? And I'm like, no.
Nationals still win. And I think that for some teams like who beat the Astros, just to think like, you overcame that, by the way. You overcame them reading your signals. And I got to think that like Kershaw, do you think he feels better about that? About like getting just bashed around late in the game?
Well, a lot of players are not happy. Specifically, who was the Indians pitcher? Clevenger, I think, was recently saying that none of them should feel like they can look us in the eyes.
Yeah.
And if they do feel like they have the right to look us in the eyes, then they should also be looking out for the thing that'll be traveling towards their head when they do so.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because it just using an example that I know best because we're here in LA and we see it a lot. Clayton Kershaw had been like Mr. Clutch in the playoffs, and then the Astros seemed to take him apart.
Yeah.
I think in 3 appearances, his starting appearance and then 2 relief appearances.
So here's the interesting. Some of this is like when steroids were happening, there was a discussion of how much is this really affecting the performance on the field.
Yeah.
People would come out of nowhere and all of a sudden hit 50 home runs. But does that mean that your ball that, like Brady Anderson went for 50 home runs one year?
Brady Anderson was using steroids?
Well, I'm just
That's
putting
scrawny.
out there as a possible fact, he goes from hitting 50 doubles to 50 home runs.
The scrawny guy in 1994.
Is the wall scrapers to home runs the difference?
Yeah.
Like how much were you really adding? It was kind of undeterminable what was steroids and what was, just world-class athletes.
Yeah.
But I think that with the asteroids cheating scandal, it's a little bit more obvious because if you look at like home road splits of Astros hitters on the road and Astro hitters at home, it was dramatic. And specifically, I heard somebody go through Kershaw's lines in the World Series that year. His first start was at Dodger Stadium where he pitched like 7 innings, gave up like 3 hits, 1 run.
Yeah.
Like classic Kershaw.
Then he goes to Houston.
Goes to Houston and it's like 4 innings with, 8 runs and like everything like that. And it's like it makes so much sense that there's some foul play involved that is helping here because it can't just be not sleeping in your own bed. It's not like it doesn't feel like it's maybe he had a bad day too, but like if they were cheating to help getting an advantage, then that's huge.
And I gotta say, I remember this one image. I think it was on the LA Times the next day of him just standing on the mound with like his hands on his hips, looking up at center field, just like, what is going on? Like I just can't figure it out. And like that to me is the image of the scandal. It's
and the other thing is there's sort of been a little. Intrigue going on this weekend on Twitter about the possibilities that they've also been cheating by putting little electronic buzzers on their body, similar to those, like how you can shock your abs, like you can get abs on the couch by shocking yourself.
Yeah, they don't work, by the way.
Right, I'm just saying
they do shock the shit out of you though.
Yeah.
So
apparently, Astro players were wearing those on like their chest and on their legs and stuff like that, so that they could do the same thing as like here's an off-speed pitch and buzz, buzz, and the incident the video that is making the most rounds on it is Altuve hits a walk-off home run off of Aroldis Chapman, and he's circling the bases. And as he gets up towards home plate, he's telling his teammates, "Don't take off my jersey. Don't rip off my jersey." And you can see Aroldis' face because he throws a changeup, and it gets launched for a home run, and he's like looking at him like, how the fuck did he know I was about to throw this
Yeah.
changeup? Like, how did he guess on
He
that
was
one?
on top.
Yeah,
of
how
it.
did how did he know that this was coming? That's the only way he could have squared it up like this. That he picked changeup, and why would he? You know?
Yeah.
So, I've heard a lot of people too talking about like the why aren't the players getting fined and why aren't the and there's a lot of like, you're going to punish the Cubs by finding somebody who was on the Astros 2 years ago and is now on the Cubs. Like that sort of thing. Like there's no way to like sort of put the genie back in the bottle and suspend certain people and not others. And how does that work? And how do you take money away? And, you know, like the whole idea of like an asterisk or taking away a World Series is like, I don't know. I still saw them win it. Yeah. So, I mean, like there's no taking that away. But I think it's more in the mind of the fan. Now, every time you see Jose Altuve, you're not thinking like, oh, this fun-loving guy who, you know, has a high batting average and, you know, a lot of hustle and blah, blah, blah. You think, oh, cheater. Like, it becomes something that the players wear from now on. And it's not so much about the, you know, like them being fined or suspended or something. Like, I think this hurts their legacies more than having to give back $400,000 of playoff money or whatever, you know?
And the other problem is, like, the cheating goes for everybody on the team. But, I mean, even if I'm the guy who's like, hey, don't bang the fucking trash can when I go up there, they're still going to bang the trash can. And when I hear it and I know it's an off-speed pitch, what do I do?
And, I mean, like, really, I think the for me, all the fault should really lay with the players.
Right.
Because it seemed like Hinch specifically didn't like it, told Cora to stop. They didn't. He broke the TV a couple times, and they just put up new TVs. Like it, I don't know. Like I get why he got suspended. He was kind of the scapegoat for this whole thing because somebody had to fall for this whole arrangement. But I don't know how much I would put on Hinch in this particular situation. And I mean, I think Cora and Beltran getting fired are appropriate because they seem to be the ringleaders of the people who sort of came up with the whole scheme.
Yeah. So
that makes sense, too.
And I think we were talking a few weeks ago about a different video, which is still out there making the rounds, of the I can't remember what team it was now. I think it might have been a Yankees pitcher who, like, you can hear the trash can getting hit in the background.
Farquhar with the White Sox?
White Sox. Yeah. And he, like, calls the catcher out, and you see him, like, change the signals up, and he goes out and strikes out the side. And, like, it's so clear that that's what you're doing.
Right,
like,
right.
Okay, you're done. What are you going to do?
And like again, the road, what was happening between home road was just absurd. Like I think one of them that I heard was McCann at home had like a plus 1,000 OPS, and his batting average on the road was like .083, and it's like nothing explains why it's so humongously weighted one way or the, you know, like
yeah. And I mean, yes, you play half the games at home, half on the road, but you're gonna win 54, you're gonna lose 54. It's the 54 in the middle that matter, and if you can win a vast majority of the ones at home, because by the way, that 54-54-54 split doesn't happen evenly anywhere. Right. You'll pick up on a road trip, you'll pick up, you know, most of the wins on the road trip and then go home and go on a losing streak. Like, but if you can guarantee that, like, of the what, it's not 81 of the 81 games at home, we're gonna win 55 to 60 of those.
Yeah,
it puts you in a really good position for everything else that happens on the field.
Right.
So, you know, and apparently puts you in the playoffs a couple years in a row.
So we'll follow this more. I'm kind of glad that last week we didn't record on Monday because we would have started talking about this and then everything would have changed because it fell. God, if you're not following baseball news on Twitter, sometimes it's the only way to enjoy drugs. It's the most fun experience, especially when like the memes start coming out. And then there was Beltran's niece out of nowhere. Oh. Like, whether or not it's Beltran's niece or not, but the fact that it, like, stirred the pot nice and good. And all the lunatics on MLB Twitter were just going nuts. And it's, I love it.
The way it hit, though, it almost seemed like a Lev Parnas was leaking news on Twitter and MLB.
Oh, here's a picture of Jose Altuve with Lev Parnas.
We'll get to that in a bit. But, of course, one other news story. There's another sports league that's playing right now.
Something happened today, right?
Yeah, something happened. I can't.
We figured out who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes, of course. Yes.
So for the NFL 100 season, we're going to have a Super Bowl matchup of the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes versus Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. Looks like a fun matchup. looks like it's going to be a good one.
And a sentence that you would not have believed had I told you that 3 years ago. Like, wait. Tom Brady's backup is in San Francisco.
Actually, probably 3 years ago I would have, because I think 3 years ago was when he was
doing really
playing
well.
for the Patriots. Like, that's when he first broke out a little bit.
4 years ago. It's like, he hasn't seen a start in 4 years probably. He's just been sitting on the bench behind Tom Brady. And
he was like a 63rd overall pick or something like that too. So I mean, it's one of those, like, I imagine 4 years ago we would have been saying like, who, this kid, I don't even know where he went to school. This quarterback from Acorn State is gonna.
Yeah, but a kid in his second year in the league is gonna go up against Tom Brady's backup.
Well, second year playing full time. He sat the first year.
Yeah, but second year as a starter, leading the team.
Yeah.
Is going to take the San Francisco 49ers and the Chiefs, who had an 800-game streak going between Super Bowl appearances. Yeah. Those two teams are going to be in the Super Bowl with those two quarterbacks. I don't know if anybody would have believed it. But they also wouldn't believe that the Ravens would be going back with Lamar. But
but I guess people wouldn't have imagined the Ravens would be in the Super Bowl anyway this year.
Yes.
And, if I still have some Ravens fans on the edge, I would like to say this to you. Last year, Patrick Mahomes was the MVP. Mm-hmm. They got really close to making it. They looked like the favorite going into the playoffs, and they got eliminated. They got eliminated in the AFC Championship, but still, it helps. The Ravens are sort of in the similar boat as the Chiefs were last year, and I feel like this is more indicative of us being early for our plans than being unprepared for them when they came. I know it still hurts, but we could be going to the Super Bowl next year building off of what happened this year, much like the Chiefs did last year.
And I will say, I wish that the Titans that showed up this week had showed up last week in Baltimore, because they didn't look as good this week as they did last week.
I'll tell you this, though. For me, sports in general, I sort of stop following it once my rooting interest is eliminated.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like, I put on the Chiefs game earlier, and I was like trying to watch a little bit of it, and I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, I just don't have the heart to like watch it. And then we started watching Aaron Hernandez instead, so I'm sure the NFL loved that.
Which, P.S., watch the Aaron Hernandez documentary, because, boy, episode 1 comes at you hard and fast, and we both, and you brought this up when we were headed over here today. There was a moment where, like, you're not paying attention, and then, like, you're like, wait, what? Back up. Oh, my God, they did say that. Oh, okay. All right, so that's a thing. Okay.
Well, that was the other thing. I was kind of half in, half out. I was like goofing around on the surface or whatever, and then Roberto like busts out of the room.
Wait, don't spoil it though. Don't say what it is.
I
okay.
I was just gonna say like Roberto busts out of the room. He's just like, "What did he just say?" And I'm just like, "What?" And anyway,
bag it up. And
so that was a thing.
I literally was laying in bed and just like kind of like dozing off, and then sat up. I was like, "Wait, what? What did he say? Is that it?"
Oh, so that's something.
Super good. Check it out. It's very good. But yeah, so
we have time though for a proper Super Bowl preview. We got the Pro Bowl week next week, so I say we save that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And move on to For Your Consideration, because we have much to.
First of all,
let's think that not playing with the music.
God damn it! I thought it was just
no. I think you needed to like reset the monitor off.
All
setting.
right. Well.
It's okay. Next time, I'll fix it in post. It's fine.
It's okay. Yeah. So For Your Consideration, here we are, and let me play the splash for that we.
Not done yet.
Right. That's right.
Should I call the two actors out of their room and see if they?
I mean, they are both here today, so.
Yeah. So the Academy Awards were nominated or announced this week.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me pull this up. Did you have any like immediate thoughts when you saw?
I mean, I don't know that I've seen a full list, because again, I get all of my news from Twitter.
Well, here, let me give you the Best Picture nominees.
Okay.
Ready? The Irishman.
Okay.
Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Ford vs. Ferrari, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. So 9 out of a potential 10.
And I mean, I don't know that I have a 10th that I would put in there. I mean, I have a lot of them. If we had to pick 10, I could find a 10th one to put in there, but I don't know that there is a 10th one that jumps out at me that got missed.
I mean, I think this is a pretty good list. Yeah. I was a little surprised that Ford v. Ferrari made it.
That was
I
my one
hadn't
comment.
seen that one, but it seemed like it was a little bit out of left field, if you will. The most of the conversation seems to be around the lack of diversity and the lack of women in the Best Director nominations.
Well,
Best Director, by the way, Scorsese, Phillips, Mendez, Tarantino, and Bong Joon-ho. So,
here's what I'll say though. As far as the picture goes, again, I get most of my news from Twitter, and I find it like humorous that there was a lot of discussion about the best pictures and saying like, well, where's the diversity there? And just let's go through the list here. The Irishman is about early 20th century New York. No.
White people?
Huh?
Teamsters? Like
They're Teamsters, but it's like Italians in New York in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And it's about Italians and like one Irish guy, but a bunch of Italian guys.
Yeah.
They're white. Although at that time, they hadn't been white very long. They just started being white.
Started being accepted in mixed company.
Yeah. Jojo Rabbit, Nazi Germany. Not a lot of people of color around there. Joker did have a lot of faces of color. In fact, the leading lady in the picture was a woman of color. Little Women, again, but 16th century, 18th century Britain. Not a lot of people of color. Marriage Story, I haven't seen yet, but I assume that there are some actors.
No, I mean like there's like secondary and tertiary characters, but not anybody in like the top roles are all white people.
1917, again, I think that there are some people of color. The main actors are white, but it was a subject of the times.
So the only person of the acting nominees,
and that's what I was going to get into.
That's a person of color. Is Cynthia Erivo for Harriet in the Best Actress nomination. I think that, let me put it this way. I think that there are certainly people who would be deserving of getting in on those nominations, but I still think that people yelling about the Oscar nominations is not the productive way to do it, because it's not necessarily about fucking Us. Lupita
Nyong'o,
she could have been nominated easily in this. But there's sort of first of all, I think that because that movie was released in February or whatever it was, like really hurt people remembering that it was part of the conversation. But like it's not it's about, you have to hire the actors to play the roles before you can put them in position to get the nominations. You know what I mean? Like, off the top of my head, if I'm like looking for women to put into the Best Director discussion, right? Greta Gerwig would definitely be on the bubble. Even though I haven't seen Little Women yet, I've just heard enough about people saying that she was really good in it.
And she got skipped last time for
well, she got nominated that last time, didn't she? In Lady Bird?
No,
it was just Best Picture.
Yeah,
she got nominated for Best Picture again. Yeah, that's right. I mean, like I think there were 3, maybe 4 women who could be in the discussion, with either Greta Gerwig with Little Women, Lorraine Scafaria for Hustlers, Lulu Wang for The Farewell, and what was her name for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood? Marielle Hemingway. I can't remember. Anywho, they all are, probably on the short list, if you will, of people who probably could have made the bump.
Yeah.
I think anyone could make a reasonable argument that maybe one of these people who was nominated for Best Director could lose their spot to one of the women that I mentioned there.
Sure. Yeah.
But again, this is a weird voting body where they're going to try and give awards to people they know. It's hard to knock Scorsese or Tarantino or Mendez off this list.
Yeah.
They're kind of going to go in just because they have a name value above anything else. And Bong Joon-ho and Todd Phillips did something so different, and like something that broke out so much that it feels like, like Hustlers was good. I didn't hear everybody saying like, "Oh my God, you got to go see Hustlers." Like I did the same for Parasite. Like people were saying like, "Oh my God, Parasite is something different." Like
now, I will say, you saw Hustlers? We saw Hustlers. together.
Yeah.
It was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing a lot of people complain about no nominations for J-Lo, no nominations for Constance, no nominations for Best Picture.
To be honest, I think the only one of those that was really like a shock to me though was J-Lo.
Yeah.
Because I thought that she might get a nomination, but I didn't quite feel like Constance Wu did enough to deserve a like Best Actress nominee.
I think they were saying here's the thing, by the way. The people who say this say J-Lo for leading actress, Constance for supporting, and I'm like, the movie is about Constance's character.
Yeah.
Do you not understand when she's on the couch that it's about her? She is the leading person in that movie. But I think, though, the thing that I try to press to those people is, and what I always say during the movie reviews...
Supporting would have probably been an easier place to get into, because I think Kathy Bates, who made it, would have sort of been on the bubble.
Yeah.
Like, you could definitely see a Kathy Bates out and J-Lo in kind of situation.
But, to be
if
fair...
you're looking at Best Actress, then if you're kicking out... sort of going off like Gold Derby, which does like the rankings of how likely somebody is to win.
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo is at the bottom of the list. So if you're thinking that she is the 5th nominee of the 5 that are there, then she gets kicked for J-Lo or something like that. I just don't.
But you trade one woman of color for another woman of color.
Right. I mean, like you're still at the same spot where you have, 20 nominees and one of color. And also, I think if there were. If there were 7 nominees of the 20 or something like that that were of color, then we would have not have lumped in Banderas as like a
person of color.
Yeah. Because I mean, like even though Spanish white sort of is seen as like white, I still feel like
not to
it's
all
like
Spanish
Javier
people.
Bardem kind of thing. Like he's different enough to me that, and I'm not trying to like.
Wait, Jonathan Pryce isn't Hispanic?
No.
I mean, but he plays. Cardinal Bergoglio.
Frankie.
He plays a very Hispanic man. Yeah. But again, to people, especially from South America.
Well, we also got Scarlett Johansson, who's known for cultural appropriation, getting nominated twice for both Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. So
anyway,
that's a little bit of a gut punch, I guess, to the movement. But hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
This is the thing I want to say. I understand people's outrage. I would love there to be more nominees from all different kinds of backgrounds, because I think that there's wonderful people doing amazing work all over the place. The crop of people that I'm working with in the last couple years since I've moved to Hollywood has been incredibly diverse, and diverse everywhere. Directors, DPs, everywhere. I've been seeing women. I've been seeing people of color, and everyone's getting involved, and they're all growing. But the crop that I'm in is going to take a couple years before we're at Academy Award level, So there's a fight going on to elevate people up, but there's still people sort of on top, Mm-hmm. So until like certain names sort of fade out and new ones start to take their place, you're going to get this until there's just a push for like, oh my God, you have to see this incredibly new, talented director, and it doesn't matter whether or not they're a woman or whether or not they're black or whatever the case may be, like
the argument I kept making for Hustlers is, keep in mind this is being voted on by a vast majority of the voters in the motion picture, or the Association of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, is a white male over the age of 40, and I don't know that Hustlers was really in his his ballpark as far as a movie goes. Like, I mean,
I really enjoyed Hustlers. I just feel like there's a certain thing that defines itself in one's mind as an Academy Award nominee. Like we used to see the old Standby was the slave movie, and we still got that with Harriet here, where it's just like, if you got a movie about slavery, then you're getting a higher likelihood that you're going to get nominated.
Yeah.
You make a movie about Hollywood, you're more likely to get nominated.
A classic book.
Yeah.
Gets nominated.
Right. And I think that something like Hustlers just has to be so much more... It has to feel more important. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it has to feel like it's dripping with that sincerity of, like film history and stuff like that to sort of break through sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's sort of like what we talk about with the Fast and the Furious rule. Like, there's a difference between a movie that is enjoyable as an experience to go see, and something that the Academy is going to think is worthy of giving an award to. And, I think that much like we sort of talked about the Astros players sort of having to even though they haven't been suspended or fined or anything like that, we live with the infamy of what they've done. I think that, the discussions about people who get left off while, it sucks that they're not a part of the actual Oscar show, I think it helps Greta Gerwig, for instance, in the long term, because people say oh, we saw that movie, it was really good, she should have been nominated,
Let me give her another pick, and then why don't we? I want more of her. I want more of her stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the unfortunate thing about the time that we live in, where we can get literally anything almost immediately. We can get food delivered to us from on our phones, to any place on the globe.
Watch.
Yeah, there's so many different options for how we can get things immediately, and people want it right away. And sometimes it takes a long time for these institutions to turn around. It's like trying to turn around a cruise ship. It just takes a while. And I think that in a couple, again, it's going to sound like a long time, but by this time, a decade from now, we're going to be seeing a very different look on what the nominees for Oscars look like, because older voters are going to go away. They're going to die. They're going to retire. They're going to do whatever. Younger people are going to be coming in. Younger people are going to be the heads of studios and stuff like that.
Or there'll be less studios.
Yeah, well, that too. There's still going to be a demand for content, so there's going to be more chances for people who used to be on the periphery to come in, even if it's on a Netflix or an Amazon or something like that. And it sounds depressing, I know, but it just takes time sometimes. And I can tell you it's coming. The wave is here. So
I wanted to make 2 points before we get out and move on. Number one, the thing that made me happiest about this list is that there was one film nominated for cinematography and nothing else. It was possibly the worst film I saw this year, even though it was visually stunning. And I am glad that they left it off of everything except for cinematography, because you know what? That is where it belongs. The Lighthouse. And I know that you were a much bigger fan of that movie than I was, but I just was dreading that maybe somebody would be like, you know what? No, this deserves an award. Best Picture, absolutely. Get out of your mind.
I think the thing I enjoyed about The Lighthouse was it was kind of like a Rorschach test of a film. It's whatever you want it to be, and that can be fun. It can be fine, but I think what hurt it with Oscar voters on a bigger level is that it doesn't really have anything that holds it all together.
Yes.
It's really fun to watch Robert Pattinson and God damn it,
Willem Dafoe,
who. He was not nominated, right?
No, he was not nominated.
No, that would have been fun, though.
Yeah. No nominations for this movie.
He put on a show. Yeah, I mean, it's again, I watched it and I was just like, yeah, this is not an Oscar. It's not good enough to be an Oscar movie. It just doesn't have that. It just doesn't feel like it doesn't carry the vest of the Oscar nominee,
But it did feel like that's what they were going for. They were going for this high-minded.
I think they're trying to win an indie spirit. I think that's what they're.
Well, and the other thing I'm thinking is there's a lot of work to do between now and February, because I have not seen 4 of these Best Pictures.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen Ford versus Ferrari. I haven't seen Little Women. Have not seen all of the Marriage Story. I just started Marriage Story, and we haven't seen 1917.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. I mean, Little Women just came out too, which I also think kind of much like we started this by talking about Us being so early. I think Little Women being so close to the end didn't give anybody an opportunity to go see it before awards started voting. I know that it didn't really get anything in the Golden Globes, I think because so few people had seen it. And that kind of became a discussion for a little while of what does this mean for its Oscar chances? Because
nobody's seen it, so nothing. That's it. And I also do want to go see Richard Jewell as well. There's a nomination again for Kathy Bates from that, and Judy and Harriet. I haven't seen either of those either.
I think Harriet's going to be on Amazon.
Well, there you go. So that would be a lot easier.
I thought so.
Judy may be impossible to see, because I remember we tried to go see it, and every time we tried to go look, it was just out of a theater and then out of a theater and then moving and moving and moving, and it may not be able to see.
Well, and this is the other part of my point, that we will eventually get to whatever place you want us to be in terms of diversity, but it will take a little bit of time. One of the great things that hits studios over the head with the idea that we need more of it is when you can't get a seat to see Little Women for 3 weeks because everyone wants to go see it. Then the studios start going oh, we need more women content.
And we have tried now for 2 consecutive weekends. We actually did get tickets this time. No, wait. We were going to Little Women. We were going to something else, right? Couldn't get tickets to Little Women.
Going to Uncut Gems.
In 4 theaters in Los Angeles, we could not get a reasonably timed 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Or early 8 p.m. start time. Couldn't get a seat. So congratulations, guys. You're doing a good job.
We'll talk more Oscars as we get closer and sort of like pick winners and stuff. We got to sort of work our way through the list a little bit here and see if we can see more of these movies.
Quickly though, one other for your consideration piece.
Yes.
MGM news.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of chatter about whether or not MGM might be for sale, the studio and the actual like physical lot kind of thing. And I saw some information this week that made me think that we are definitely in the end days for MGM. They have decided to sell 2 of the casino properties in Las Vegas, the Mandalay Bay and the MGM Grand, for like $4 billion. And over the last year or two, they've sold like $8 billion worth of casinos around the world. And it's like, it's starting to look a lot like they're divesting of certain properties where they can make some money before they go forward with the sale of something that will be sent to another. Because you're basically buying MGM for the catalog at this point. So you can add whatever they have, all the James Bond content.
To your streaming service.
Right.
Yeah.
So if Disney bought MGM, just as an example, because, Disney buys everything, then, Disney doesn't want anything to do with the casinos. They just want the content. So if you can sort of sell the casino interests away.
To, say, Caesars.
Yeah, or whoever. Yeah, it just makes it easier for them to go forward with that. So
yeah, and I was gonna say that I think MGM and what was the other one?
Mandalay Bay.
Mandalay Bay are the last 2 that MGM owns.
Yeah.
In Las Vegas, and more to your point, they had their best year ever last year. They hosted a boxing or UFC event every single month, and it looks like they were just running up the valuation and now sell off the property when it looks like it's the most profitable. So I don't know. Well, one. It is one of the oldest film studios that is still around.
Yeah.
I mean, MGM was used in the same breath as RKO, and none of you know what RKO is likely.
I mean, one of the namesake of the whole thing, Louis B. Mayer, who is the second M in MGM, is a legendary figure who has hands all throughout the history of Hollywood.
Yeah. Metro Goldwyn Mayer and Metro Pictures and Goldwyn Pictures were both people who moved from New Jersey when, by the way, Hollywood was in New Jersey and came out here. And then Louis Mayer got into the movie business after coming out here for something else. And
well, they were trying to avoid Edison in Jersey. So,
but they've been around since Hollywood was Hollywood. And I don't know if anyone else... I mean, the Warner Brothers came after them, but they were around the same time as RKO. Mm-hmm. But they have like studio complex that's been here as long as there's been studios in LA, and there's a chance that that's going to be up for sale to someone. And then you're looking at Netflix or Apple or someone who doesn't have physical space, who might want to jump on that and say, "Hey, this is our chance to get into the studio business. We get the property, yes, that's great. James Bond on Netflix, James Bond on Apple Plus,
right?
And even Disney has ABC Studios, but it's not the same. It's not the same kind of space. It's not the same. A lot of ABC shows are actually shot on the WB lot in Burbank or on the MGM lot.
Disney doesn't actually have a huge footprint as far as like a studio space goes. But.
So it might be, and
then Warner's talking about buying this whole, they're going to sell the ranch and they're going to build this huge iceberg on the 134. So that'll be fun. Gary's getting involved in that. But again, more of that later when it actually happens. It's just sort of like, sometimes you can see the chess pieces moving on the board and you're just like, oh, this is about to happen. And it feels like an appropriate time to tell everyone. So yeah. Moving on to impeachment news.
Yes.
Nancy Pelosi has finally signed over documents, and we are now going to have the impeachment head to the Senate. Mm-hmm. We're going to start next week with swearing in John Roberts and sort of figuring out the rules of this whole thing. There's going to be opening statements, and they decided the House managers and stuff like that. I think Trump's still figuring out his legal team for that side.
But he may be figuring that out all the way through because people may start quitting as
trying to figure out whether or not Dershowitz is available. But yes, I bring this up for no particular reason, but I think that if Lev Parnas's appearance on Maddow is any kind of a precursor, if we start calling up certain people, we're going to be getting receipts that I don't think the Republicans necessarily wanted.
Yeah.
Which is making me wonder whether it's going to be really interesting to see the vote on witnesses, because I couldn't imagine not being a Republican who doesn't want to hear a little bit more about this before you like tie your whole fate to Trump in this this whole situation.
See, here's the thing. Rats are great because they do your dirty work. They do a lot of dirty work and they don't complain. But the problem is when the ship starts going down, they also start to flee.
Yeah.
And Lev Parnas is one that saw the ship going down and then just started throwing everyone overboard that he absolutely could to save himself. And the best part of that news was every time someone said, I don't know who that is, I've never met him, I would not know who he was, and then a picture appears of you guys together.
The one with Kellyanne was particularly good, where she's like, I've never heard of this person. I don't know who he is. I've never met him. And then within minutes on Twitter,
just
like
pictures appear.
Two of them smiling together.
Yeah.
Having margaritas at Disneyland.
Say, not at like a receiving line where clearly it was just like shaking the hands of anyone. Like at a private event where they're clearly being friendly and just like, oh, Kelly, oh, Lev. It is a thing.
I don't know. I can't believe so many people have taken this death pact with this man. And the same thing. The constant for me is the people who support Trump, and I'm just like, I've been seeing so much like shit about like Nancy Pelosi this week of like, you know, like you want to talk about Un-American, look at Nancy Pelosi. And I'm not saying that Nancy Pelosi is like God or anything like that. She's very flawed, but this just doesn't feel like the argument to be hitching your whole like political philosophy.
Not the hill to die on.
I just don't get it. Like I don't understand. Like if you read like one thing that Trump has been doing, it just doesn't seem like it's gonna end up well. You know, like
I don't understand. And again, it's okay. So did you watch Messiah on Netflix?
Not yet.
Okay, it's
I know
very
you
good.
told me about it. But.
Yeah, very good, and everybody should watch that as well. But one of the things they say is like, there's somebody who is a doubter, if you will, but gets in a room with him, and then we don't see what happens, but they come out and they're just like, "I'm done. I gotta go home," and you just see the look in their face where it's like, "I'm a believer now."
Yeah.
I have an inkling that Trump must be like that. That we see him on TV, we see him all through all of this, and we're just like, "This guy's an idiot." But if he gets you in a room one-on-one, that you must just be like, oh my God, this guy.
I don't even think it's that. I just think that there's a lot of people who think that they know a lot about politics because they spend a lot of time on Facebook and see content which, like, you know, just sort of like if you see nothing but NFL memes, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, oh, Cowboys are really terrible. It's like, well, I mean, the Cowboys occasionally make it to the playoffs and win a lot of games, and they're not really as terrible as like the meme culture of NFL fans would like you to believe.
Yeah.
Mostly it's just a hatred of the team. And that's sort of the same thing that's going on here with like these memes on Facebook and stuff like that. Only so many of them that I see are just so inaccurate and so like completely lost of any kind of like realistic ground and what's happening.
You get in that echo chamber and you're just being fed the thing you want to believe, and you don't see anything else, so it must be true.
Well, and you don't want to double check anything. Like, you know, like I'm sure I could get a meme going where it's just like, you know, Nancy Pelosi is a lizard person, you know, like, and it can go around and there's going to be people who think it, but it's pretty easy to determine that, you know, she's just a normal alien, not a lizard person.
Look, just because she looks like that doesn't make her an alien, all right?
We don't need to go through all the steps. I mean,
but yeah, it's the only thing that makes sense to me.
You don't need to assassinate her character.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me because it is so... Why? Why would you sink your entire... Yes, there's a lot of old guys. They've lived their lives. They've had their political careers, and they maybe don't care.
Yeah.
There are some like Devin Nunes could have another 20 years in politics, and he's just like, nope. I am throwing my anchor onto this particular ship, and when we all go down, we all go down. I just don't get it.
The thing is that imagine you went out and had a date with some other woman, right? Like you were cheating, right?
I would never do that.
Well, I'm just hypothetical.
Hypothetically saying, yes, hypothetically,
obviously.
yeah.
And you went out to some bar and you were drinking Angry Orchards all night, right?
Okay.
That's what happened. And then you get cornered, and it's just like, what were you doing last night? No, I was at the movies with Corey. And it's like, well, I saw Corey on set. Well, it was after he was off set.
Yes.
It was afterwards. It's just like, oh yeah, enjoy any Angry Orchards last night? Now you feel like you're getting caught a little bit.
Yeah.
But all these people are just like, I'm getting caught. I should dig deeper into my lie because there's no way she has more information than she currently does.
Now, see, to be
it's
fair,
just like the Republicans keep getting like these like little tiny bits of evidence that like we know the people know that they're onto them, but then like go like what Angry Orchards? I never, not me. Fuck you.
Here's the problem.
You're the one who was drinking Angry Orchard.
My natural inclination is to go deeper into the lie at that point. As you said that, my mind started spinning like, well, yeah, I went to the bar. I was there with some friends ahead of time, but I met Corey after that, right?
Yeah.
He was on set after he was
But
on
I'm saying,
set
like, if something specific came out like that, it's not like it's being brought up for just some random purpose. It's just like you have inside information. The jig is up. You're going to be caught, but you continue to, like, dig into the lie.
I believe that I could talk my way out of anything. And I think that, here's the thing.
I think that's what McConnell thinks, too. I think he could just...
I have said this about...
I lie to my wife on the regular.
I have said this about people in my regular life, and I stand by it. It is a problem when you think you are the smartest guy in the room, and you're not.
Yeah.
That is a huge problem. And my problem is that I always assume I'm the smartest guy in the room, and sometimes I'm not. And I always think I could talk my way out of it. And sometimes I can. And sometimes people just want to believe the lie. That's a big deal with what happens on Twitter. People just want to believe that it's not as bad as it seems. But the fact is, sometimes it is. And right now, it seems like it really, really is.
Yeah.
But people are still saying, nope, I'm going to dig deeper on this lie and just let it ride. So,
well, it's funny because Devin Nunes also got caught up in the lie a little bit because when there were his phone number showed up on Lev Parnas's phone list, people were just like, oh, so you've been in contact with Lev Parnas. And he's like, no, I've never. I don't know what you're talking about. Fuck you. I'm going to sue you all. I'm going to sue CNN. And then this week, just casually on Fox News, he drops like, oh, it turns out I did actually talk to him, but I didn't know who he was, and he just called my cell phone. I'm like, who's this? And he's just like,
how'd you get this
I got important things to tell you about some illegal shit. And he's just like, you got to talk to my staff about illegal shit. I don't handle that.
I got an illegal shit department. Yeah, I got a whole 2 staffers.
I got HR. I got illegal shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, this whole Lev Parnas thing, by the way, I know he's not the most reliable witness.
Which is going to be a big issue with some of the witnesses. That,
I mean, like
they're now convicted felons.
Yeah. Thank God Bolton isn't accused of any crime, because that one's going to be interesting.
Well, I mean, war crimes, yes, but not any like crimes,
not
American crimes, yes.
Not crimes worried by anybody here.
Yes,
I don't know. Like, he's not a very reliable witness, but the things that he's saying sound very... They sound true enough that I want to have further comment. I would like to have somebody from the Trump administration acknowledge some of these things and discuss them a little bit, because it's a little fishy. That's just me.
Well, listen. The administration of the elected government of this country owes you no explanation, voter, of the thing that they do, all right? You voted for them. 4 years from now, which is, this year, you're going to have to choose again, and we prefer if you just choose blindly. No facts, no decisions. Make a gut decision, a gut choice, and go with it.
I don't vote Republican or Democrat. I just write Jesus' name in. Those are Republican votes. We count those as a Republican.
This has been the longest week ever. It's Wednesday, Lemon. Jack Donaghy is my spirit animal, just so you know. Anyway, so was there anything else about the Trump?
No, I think that's about it.
The problem with this week is that so much happened, but that it's also waiting for things to develop a little more.
It's a
Oscars
huge week of here's all these things that happen. Now let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like we don't the Super Bowl isn't being played tonight, so we can't discuss the game. It's we got a little bit of time here. Baseball sort of took over with its nonsense, and then
But the baseball thing's not done yet because the Red Sox thing is coming.
Yep.
Oscars got nominations, but we got a little time before that comes up.
And the impeachment trial is probably going to take like weeks and weeks. It was
Months
like 6
and
weeks for the Clinton trial, right?
Well, yeah, but see, the other thing is, yes, they say they're going to start like rappelling it to a vote or rappelling it to order. They said that for maybe 4 months by the Clinton trial. I was like, nope, we are starting on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then 4 months later, they finally actually brought it to order.
So something that's going to be upsetting, I think, for people who've never followed an impeachment trial before is that not a lot of it happens in public.
Yeah.
There's moments that happen in public, and then there's a lot of things that happen like in closed session. And there might be like a week or two where there's nothing to discuss on any of these cable news shows, but God knows they'll find something.
The PB video will definitely be in private, just so you know. Speaking of things that smell like urine, I think it's time to take a trip on down to the Baltimore Corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
That might be my best transition yet. So, not to be outdone, Baltimore had its own bit of terrible election news this week. I guess it's not really terrible. It's take with a grain of salt, but maybe doesn't bode well. But the very first mayor's poll was released this week. I think you have the results there, don't you?
Yeah. So this has a margin of error of 6%. So
pretty high.
Yeah. So take it for what it's worth. I mean, like everybody here in this discussion, basically, if you added 6 points to their total, would be a leader in the running. So like there's a lot to still sort out here, but Theroux is up at the top, 18.2%. Brandon Scott, 17.9%. Sheila Dixon, 15.7%. Jack Young, 15%. TJ Smith, 11%. Washington, 7.8%. And someone else / undecided is 14.4%. So
here's what I'm going to say. Can we
undecided is good enough for 5th place right now. So there's a lot of.
Can we just elect someone else? Can we just all write someone else on the
just
ballot?
Put like a black silhouette of a person on a poster and just like someone else for mayor.
Just, if someone else takes first place, I think it's just a revote and nobody gets to run again.
I feel like maybe we should. I used to laugh when I heard about some like small country town with 4 people that had like elected a dog as mayor.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, aha, that's funny. These little bumpkins. I'm like, maybe the dog for mayor isn't such a bad idea.
Here's the question.
At least I don't have to worry about corruption charges with the dog being.
Would a dog do a worse job? Probably not. And we don't have to worry about corruption. I'm thinking maybe this is the solution. Is there a friendly neighborhood dog somewhere in Baltimore we could elect? Or at least nominate? I don't know.
Spike found guilty of taking too many milk bones. No, not Spike.
There's something about this city. I don't know what it is. But good news,
it's
bad
like
news.
The Exorcist. It turns people bad.
Good news, bad news about this. Bad news, Jack Young and Sheila Dixon, who have probably the best name recognition, not doing very well, comparatively.
3rd and 4th currently.
Yeah. Good news, Sheila Dixon not doing very well. Thank God, because the last thing we need is to have her running again and becoming mayor. Now,
I also like the TJ Smith not doing well.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, though, really, the more and more I look at this list of people, I start getting like depressed again.
Who?
Saying, like,
who do you pick?
Who would I vote for? I guess Brandon Scott would be my vote if I were voting today.
It's a murderer's row of terribleness.
But it just feels like Brandon Scott feels like that empty Democratic, like, wants to be mayor or wants to be governor one day. Like, so I'm going to work my way up the system, or I could be mayor so I could be congressman, so I could be senator, so I could run for something. Like he just feels like.
Can we just call him a Carcetti? Just a Carcetti?
hopelessly looking for the next job.
Yeah.
And those people have not done well in Baltimore.
Yeah, and then we have the guy who ran for state's attorney solely to keep the guy out of office who would set free.
Hold on. We don't know that for sure. We just know that every single bit of the evidence points to that.
Yeah. As a reminder, Theroux ran for state's attorney against Marilyn Mosby and Ivan Bates. Theroux is staying on as the attorney for the state against Adnan Syed. So Ivan says, if I become state's attorney, I'm dropping the case. I'm going to let him go free.
Yeah.
And the guy who's prosecuting him on appeal jumps into the race for the seat and just takes away enough votes that Marilyn Mosby gets to keep her seat.
Yeah.
And then there is somewhat unseemly contact between the two between Mosby and Theroux's campaign, and then nothing. And now he's running for mayor. Just, it smells a lot. And it's not just the Inner Harbor this time. I think it's something more political. And now he's leading, again, with a huge margin of error. A statistical margin of error you want to see is somewhere between 1.2 and 2%. So 6% is really big. But, God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Theroux becomes mayor.
I would be I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about how this poll was figured out, because that could change a lot of things too. I mean, if it was like a
online.
No, if it sometimes they call saying like, who do you think you're going to vote for mayor? And you have to pick a name. And if you're picking a name, then somebody who has a lot of billboards up around town, or, somebody who is more likely to jump to the top of that list.
Right.
If they read off a list of names, then perhaps that works as, that helps all the candidates as opposed to picking a name. But we don't know how this all went together. So
yeah, and Theroux is pulling a big Mike Bloomberg, where it seems like he's spending money on billboards and TV ads to get name recognition.
I just don't get why you would want to be this person. Despite it being wrong, I sort of decided a long time ago, like, a life of crime wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't going to be good, like, having to, like, constantly be on the lam and, like, robbing people to make ends meet. So I didn't go that way,
Yeah.
Theroux definitely feels like he's just, like, all right with being the villain. Like,
yeah, kind of.
like, what does everyone hate? I'll do that. He's like the Tulsi Gabbard of Baltimore Democrats.
I mean, honestly, he kind of is. He just, I will do whatever. What is the crappy job that we just need to have somebody, evil to do? Yeah. I'll be evil. That's fine. Let's do that. But I don't.
Theroux Maleficent Vignaraja.
I don't want to end on a bad note. So I think the way that we can end the show and the Baltimore Corner segment is to talk about my favorite story of the week, a really uplifting story. And, a few weeks ago I said, at what point, and I really want to do the math, at what point does Baltimore in 2020 surpass the violence rates of Detroit in theoretical 2005, where they went to the RoboCop program? Mm-hmm. And I thought about that this week again, because one of the things that happens in the very beginning of the RoboCop movie is that the police, while trying to make several arrests, basically get mob attacked by the citizens.
Yeah.
And that happened in Baltimore this week.
Yeah. Harrison came out afterwards, and he had a press conference where he's like, this is despicable and terrible and blah, blah, blah. I get it. And generally speaking, I would say that attacking a police officer in this kind of situation is not the way to go. But I will also say this. The Baltimore Police Department has lost any chance it has of regaining public trust.
Yeah, yeah.
And once you get to that point, the respect for the law, which comes with don't just viciously beat the shit out of them, is like kind of out the window. Like when they don't care about viciously beating the shit out of the criminals, or the suspected criminals, then why should the suspected criminals give a shit about the not beating the shit out of that? I mean, that's sort of like what seemed to sort of happen.
No, did you read the story? Someone else called and did a business check because there were suspicious people in a business. The business owner confronted the police when they came in and said, "We don't want you here. We are part of this community and you do nothing but damage here." The police then tried to arrest one of the business owners because they were being so confrontational, and the neighborhood started to beat the police officer. Which, by the way, again, don't be violent towards police officers. Just doing a job. But maybe a little bit of justice was finally meted out. Like, you went there, you had no business being there, you were told everything was fine, and you continued to poke your nose in it. And then the citizens just said, "No, we're done with this," and came back at you. Maybe again, my feel good story of the week for a reason.
I just think that it's not great that we've gotten to this situation, but the people to blame are the people on the blue side of this argument.
Yeah,
because honest to God, I'm kind of shocked that this hasn't happened earlier than this, because and I get where the police are coming from when they're saying, like, the lawlessness of people just generally is out of control in Baltimore. I get it that there's sort of been more of an open season to be criminal in Baltimore. But every single reason why that has happened was, as some way, shape, or form, a domino that fell from a police action that happened before it.
Yeah.
I think we could tie pretty much where we are right now to the way that police had acted leading up to Freddie Gray, and that sort of being a breaking point. And now, after Freddie Gray happened and the murder rate just exploded, and people realize that they're not going to go to jail for murder, it's just like, well, why the fuck should we believe or trust the police at all? And people, even pre-Freddie Gray, where it was just like, what is the point of me going to court and testifying against some drug dealer on my street who's going to kill me if I testify?
Because he's going to get off.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to protect me. Like, there's no benefit for me to do this. It's not like even the idea that you went and did something right is not enough to save you in this situation. And, I just... I feel for the guy who got his ass beat, because I don't want people to just generally get their ass beat, I would like to live in a society where we don't need to be violent with one another. But the police have certainly put the violence out there, and the fact that they are now met with violence is not surprising to me. It's more that this hasn't happened more frequently, and I imagine it will be, because there's a lot of attention being brought on this moment.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it's likely to happen again. And on that happy note, this has been the Baltimore Corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
Oh my, what a happy show today was.
We had, Lord. I'd just like to say, it was so jam-packed, we didn't even get a chance to talk any of this royal nonsense. Not like I would have wanted to talk royal nonsense.
Hopefully there's less, and we can get into it a little more next week, because I got thoughts. I got thoughts and opinions. So,
would you give it up? Would you walk away?
I mean, I am a anti-monarchist, so yes, I absolutely would. I say destroy the monarchy. Take them all out.
I'm looking forward to his Harry's first interview, like after this all thing settles down.
We'll see.
Because that's where I think we'll learn a lot. Anywho, if you want more, you know where you can go find us?
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com, OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. You can find more of me on my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com. Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, and at LegendsCB5 on Twitter, Instagram. Most recent review for Bombshell is up. You can go see that. I would like to go see a movie this week. Questionable when I'll be able to do that with the feature schedule, but hopefully sometime, maybe like I get out early and I go see like a late movie by myself or something. I don't know. Like, I'll figure it out. Or a Netflix movie, just two popes, try and knock it out. But yeah, until then, enjoy the Bombshell one.
Hey, yeah. And speaking of Two Popes review is up right now. That's right. I got it done. You can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find more information on me, including the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you, sir. New episodes of the reviews are up now. Two Popes is up currently as we record this, and
John Wick Parabellum
is up as a classic. I just did one. I literally just edited it today. Star Wars Episode 9 will be up as of the time that this is live, and I got another special series coming next week that I might intersperse with other episodes if I see some more movies. Otherwise, it'll be the episodes. But the Sean Baker series.
Oh, nice.
Coming next week. So make sure you check that out. A lot of exciting stuff happening up over there.
All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good, but as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Carly girl going crazy.
Producer
the
Carly.
girlies are home.
Yep. And we're going to go try some blue meth.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Not really, Federellis. Don't come busting down our door.